Now we're ready to fill in the rules for what we just witnessed in the other videos by doing rounding on a number line. So we discovered that the midway point between any type of rounding is going to always be something that's near 5. So we have to do 5 or greater for the number to fall in the upper half, and we have to do between 0 and 4 for the place value that's right before the one we're rounding to in order to round it to the lower number. Okay, so here are the steps we're going to fill in, and we'll follow these as we work through the rest of our notes. So the first thing you're going to do is circle the digit that you're being told to round to. That is just going to help you narrow down the 2 possible numbers that it could round to, okay? But it doesn't actually tell us which one it's going to be, okay? That is for the digit that is immediately before it, and by before it, I mean the place value that's before it, which is always going to be the lesser place value. We're going to underline the digit that's to the right. If that underlined digit is between 5 and 9, the circled part, or the number we're rounding, the part we're rounding to, the place value we're rounding to, that circle rounds up. So we're going to use the higher number that we possibly were going to round to. If that underlined digit is between 0 and 4, it falls below the midpoint, and the value of the circled digit stays the same. It's just rounding down technically to that 1,000. The digits after the circled place value is going to become zeros, but we'll already know that because we will have already determined the 2 possible choices, okay? So let's look at this first example. We are going to round. I gave you a tricky one to begin with. We are going to round to the nearest 1,000, 59,678. So I have circled the place that we are rounding to, which is the thousands place. And so we know that the only 2 possible answers are going to be 59,000, or, that's the tricky part, what would be the 1,000 that is above 59,000? Well, you should know that 59,000 is the last 1,000 that's in the 50,000 range, okay? The 10,000s of 50,000. So we know that if we're going to go up another 1,000, this is going to go up, but it's going to make this whole thing go up, and it's going to round to 60,000. So these are our only 2 choices, okay? So now we're going to look at the underlined digit. The underlined digit is a 6. Well, remember, you know that the midway point is going to have 5 in it, right? So it's going to be like 59,500. So a number that is 6, if it's between 5 and 9, it's going to fall on the upper half, and this circled number is going to round up, which means that this is going to now become 60,000. So 60,000 is the number that 59,678 would round to. Okay? All right. Same number, but this time we're being asked to round to the nearest 100. So the hundreds place has been circled. Now, nothing is happening to the 59,000 before it. All we're doing is rounding it to which 100 it goes to. So obviously, if it's a 6 right now, it could round to 59,600. Or if I go one more 100 up from there, it could round to 59,700. Okay? This digit just tells us which 2 numbers to think of this falling between. Okay? So now we have to look at what comes after it in the tens place, because that's the digit that actually tells us which way to go. Well, if we're already at 600, 59,600, and 59,700, halfway in between is going to be 59,650. So see how the tens place is the one that has the 5 in it. Well, 78 is not going to fall below 650 in that section. It's going to fall above the 59,650. So it is in the upper half, which means that this one also is going to round up to the next 100 in this case, which is 59,700. Okay? All right. Same number. This time we're rounding to the nearest 10. So I've circled the tens place. Everything before it is going to stay so far. We just know that the tens, so if it's the tens place, that means I'm looking at the last two digits. That means that we have a choice to round to 59,670 or 59,680. So the only thing that's changing is the 70 to 80, okay? Everything before it is going to stay. So the digit I look at is the ones place, which in this case is an 8. Okay, so if it's an 8, if you think of what's between 70 and 80, the midway point right there is going to be 59,675. Between 70 and 80 is 75. So 59,675. Now this is pretty close to it, but this is 59,678. That's going to be above the 675. So again, that one's going to round up. And this time it's going to round up to 59,680. So we've got our two choices narrowed down, and then we just have to follow the steps that we learned up above. Okay, let's keep going. New numbers. This number is even a bigger number. It's in the hundred thousands, but we're only asked to round it to the nearest 1,000. So there's the thousands. Now that means all of this doesn't change. And that 9 could be 359,000. Or once again, if this goes up 1,000, it's actually going to make this go up. That's going to be 360,000. Okay? All right, so remember, once I determine, I just use this to determine which two possible numbers it can be. We know it's going to be this or this for our answer. So now we look at the hundreds. The hundreds has a 0 in it, but we know that if we're looking at the hundreds that are in between 359,000 and 360,000, we know that that midway point is going to have to be 359,500. Well, clearly 48, right? You could see that. Or you can just look at the 0. Clearly, if this is 500 and this is 0, we know that this number here is going to be on the lower half. So it is not going to round up. It is going to round down to 359,000. That would be our answer to that one. Okay. All right, this time we're rounding to the nearest 100. There's a 5 in the hundreds place. So these digits stay the same. So we know we are dealing with numbers between 34,000 and then we have 34,000 rounding to this nearest 100. So 500. And then the next 100 up from that is 600. So we're kind of only focusing on the second half of the number now. Okay. And we know that the number that is halfway in between 500 and 600 is 34,550. So now let's come over here and let's look. The digit to the right in the tens place is 5. Now, this is a little tricky. If it's a 5, remember if it's exactly on the midpoint, if the number was 34,550, we would still round it up. Well, this number is 34,557. So clearly that's slightly past 550. So we know that this one is going to round up to 34,600. All right, and then one more, or two more, sorry. So we're rounding to the nearest 10. So that means everything in front is going to stay for now. 24,320, because that is what's in there right now, or 24,330 would be the next 10 up. So we know it's between 20 and 30 for the tens place, okay? Well, between that, right. So what would be halfway between 20 and 30? Well, clearly that would be 25, so 24,325. Okay, well, the digit after is a 4. Well, 324 is going to fall just slightly before the halfway point. But if it's before it, it's still going to round. If it's between 0 and 4, it's going to round down. So we are going to round it to 24,320. All right, and then the last one, we're rounding to the nearest 100 again. So that means this part stays the same, 73,900. Or, now this is tricky, if you add 100 to 900, that actually bumps up to the next 1,000, which is 74,000. They're still only 100 away from each other, but we've just jumped up to the next 1,000, okay? So now I'm going to look at the tens place, and I'm going to say to myself, what's halfway between 900 and the next 1,000, or 3,900 and 4,000? Well, that would be 3,950. 73,950. So if there's a 5, now this, if it was just 950, if it was just a 5, we would still round up even then. So if there's a 5 or higher, it is going to be over here, and this is actually a little bit past 950 anyway. So this is going to round up to 74,000. So you're just kind of imagining the numbers, deciding which two it possibly could round to, and then just thinking what's halfway in between and where would my number fall, okay? But the rules that we outlined is a quick and easy way, okay? So all you have to do is look at the circle digit and then decide with the number next to it whether that circle digit would round up or stay the same, and then just turn everything else into zeros past the circled number. So hopefully that gives you what you need to work on your homework, and hopefully this is not a new concept for you and you are familiar with this and this is just a review.